maybe to give you a timeline of the creator economy. So in the 1980s, we started with kind of the Web 1.0 era, where, we had very static websites, one dialogue communications between creators and their fans. There was no way of really fans interacting with the creators, meaning the user experience was really bad. In the 2000s, the Web 2 era came along, where the whole creator economy really skyrocketed, meaning marketplaces, all of these social platforms came into play, where all of us could interact with fans and creators as such. And then kind of the latest iteration, which has only really happened in the last 12 months, is the rise of crypto and Web3, where the new creator economy is coming to play.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to yet another feature by TheCapitalNet TV. I'm Apoorva, and today we have with us Mr. Ollie Forsyth. Mr. Ollie Forsyth is the Global Community Manager at Antler and has written an extensive report about the new creator economy. In today's video, we are going to deep dive into what this creator economy is, the timeline for the same, the Web3 intervention, and what sort of ownership the creators will have in the new economy. With that, let's jump into the video. Ollie, just going back a little bit while you were talking about the timeline of this new creator economy, right? What do you think Web3 intervention is going to do for this economy? As in, it's the next big thing. What are the opportunities that will be created for the creators, especially in the Web3 space, that is?
I think the opportunity is to, in this new creator economy space with the rise of crypto, is two things. One is to create a fairer middle class, meaning, anyone can still become a creator today, but the diverse revenue opportunities are so much greater. And what's great about the blockchain and the crypto, nothing can be hidden. It's all on the blockchain, so it's going to be very transparent. But again, which I keep mentioning, the success of these communities and platforms, why should we be dedicating so much time to these creators and platforms if actually we're not being compensated ourselves? And I think, going back to also one of your earlier questions, what are the key takeaways? If we do enter this new creator economy space and it really succeeds, this potentially creates a whole new generation of wealth, which we're really excited about as well.
Correct, and especially with the Gen Z and millennials, I think that that wealth creation is the key that comes with this economy. Very interesting point I was just coming across, Ollie, which was the fact that while the new creator economy is very creator centric, do you think there are gatekeepers of this economy, and if there are any, who would they be?
Are there gatekeepers for the new creator economy? I think there are always going to be gatekeepers. I think if we look at the very successful platforms today, the likes of Meta, Snapchat, Instagram, many of those will become the gatekeepers as such. But what's great about the creator economy today, the platforms and especially the creators, they have so much flexibility, especially the creators, right? Especially with the rise of crypto, they can essentially move to any platform and they can take their audience anywhere. So essentially, there shouldn't be gatekeepers in the rise of crypto, and if there are, I think those platforms should reconsider that and entice creators to stay with them. I think one of the biggest frustrations we see sometimes with platforms coming up today is they don't think like a creator. They want to try and restrict creators to stay on the platform as much as possible. I think if you restrict creators and they can't move their audience, or you can charge very large take rates, is almost why should they have your loyalty? So, for founders who are listening to this, who are thinking about creating a platform in the creator economy space, I'd be thinking like a creator. I'd be thinking about the life cycle of becoming a creator as well. Do creators want to do this for 3 or 5 years? Is it going to be like joining a company? Sometimes you stay at a company for 3 years, some of you stay for 20 years. How can you, entice creators to do this for a lifetime hobby?
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. And coming from that, Ollie, and also just sort of going back to the wealth creation part, what do you think is the revenue model that sort of will come into play with this economy? Let's backtrack a little bit. We'll talk about the existing models and then probably look at how the future of monetization is going to look like with the advent of crypto and just general Bitcoins as well.
Yeah, so the historic revenue opportunities for creators has been a very Web 2.0. You have the subscription models, brands, you have the take rates, as such, and there are a bunch more direct monetization, subscriptions in particular. Where we're seeing with crypto, yes, you'll still have those for many creators, but I think what's even more interesting is, these tokens and tokenized communities is going to become really interesting. It's still very early, actually, how the tokenized communities will actually work. especially as different tokens will have different types of value adds. But in addition to the community tokens, you will have NFTs, and you'll have these new types of network effects. And similar to what I mentioned earlier, right? Based on your contributions, you will be rewarded some form of compensation. But every single person you refer to the platform that is directly led to you, depending how much capital they potentially spend on that platform, you at the end of the day were the original source, and you should be provided or compensated in some capacity of that. And I think that's going to become really interesting. And that's, if it works, I personally think that's a really interesting network effects strategy for creators as well as founders entering the creator economy space.
No, makes perfect sense. And while we are at that, let's shift towards the VC and PE perspective, right? Because you have, as you mentioned, that there are like 140 odd companies that are there over here. How do you see the investment activity around these companies? Is there a lot of noise around this new space? How do you see that mapping out?
Yeah, so the noise around the creator economy from a venture point of view, I think are a couple of things. I mentioned when I first started exploring the space, a couple of years ago, and maybe to shed some light, why we got interested in the space. I was podcasting 3 years ago. I became really frustrated as a podcaster that I was not being paid from the streaming platforms. Had about 80,000 listeners, and we were still streaming on Spotify and Apple Music. Podcasters weren't being paid, music artists were, and I got really frustrated and kind of started speaking to fellow podcasters and seeing how they would monetize. So when we first started looking at the space from a personal point of view, also literally no VC or investor was looking in the space. They didn't care, and they thought, here's another marketplace opportunity. Typically marketplaces have been quite fragmented. I don't think it's not going to be a category that's going to succeed. Anyway, fast forward, the pandemic came along. This whole kind of future of work started to come, and we saw two shifts. One, people started to reevaluate what their future looks like, and almost like a wake-up call. What do I actually want to do for my future career? And unfortunately, you did have a small proportion of people, if you look at it from a global point of view, who were made redundant from their companies, and they had to look at alternative ways to make an income. So, this new category is, booming. I think, especially from a US and Asia point of view. From a European point of view, we're still yet to produce a unicorn in the space from a creator economy point of view. And I don't think yet there's been one in Africa. Since 2020, there have been 15 companies that have emerged in the creator economy space, that have become a unicorn. To give some insights into how these companies have succeeded, their average Series A round was $13.5 million, and it actually only took them 6 years to become a unicorn. In 2021 alone, there were 13 companies also that reached unicorn status. In 2020, just one, and I think this year already we've had 3 to 4. So we're excited to see how many unicorns come out from the creator economy space in 2022. I think there will be a little of streamlining. How does the creator economy look like with the rise of crypto, and what is a creator economy company if they have a bit of crypto? Are they a creator economy company or they're a blockchain company? But for sure, we're really excited about the space.
Yeah, but more on that, Ollie, do you think there are any other apprehensions that investors have, especially with the risk mitigation that comes with this space? Like you touched upon it a little bit by saying that whether it is creator economy or is it a blockchain company. So apart from that, do you think the investors are looking at other risk mitigation when it comes to this space?
I think there are a couple of mitigations. One, are these platforms going to be horizontal or vertical? And also, going back to what we said earlier, just thinking about the life cycle of the creator. We're yet to really see, how long creators actually, enjoy creating. Are they like businesses? They can do this for 5 years and then sell out. Potentially we're going to enter a world where creators today can't go and raise their own pre-seed round or a seed round or a Series A round because it's one person. Maybe in the future we can do that, and maybe creators can become their own company and people can buy into them based on their success also. So I don't think too many investors are looking at this very narrow-minded with too many risks attached. I think that's part of every category people start looking at. I think a more interesting question will be what's the market sizing of the creator economy over time, and also how many category leaders can there be in each category. So for example, how many category leaders can there be in the play to earn space? How many category leaders can there be in the NFT market space? Is this going to be, a one size, fits all, or are there going to be multiple leaders? We'll see.
That's perfect. And coming from that again, because we were talking about apprehensions, from your sort of perspective, because you've actually moved across the value chain, right? Like you sort of saw the problem statement personally, and then you saw the shift in the economy altogether. What are the challenges that you think that the economy will face? What is it facing right now? And what do you think the future, probably the roadblocks would be for this economy that probably the people in it would have to, overcome to get ahead?
There are challenges for both platforms and creators. If we look at platforms today, the two that are probably worth highlighting, one, to become a creator is actually really difficult. And if you are a creator who can only speak Portuguese or Indian, as an example, your market is very small versus if you can speak every language globally. So one of the opportunities I think, especially for platforms, is how do you enable creators to become global from day one? Meaning, if I was to upload a podcast in English, how can that be translated and automatically translated into every language on every platform with my voice as well? It's not somebody else's voice, it's my voice. And the second challenge for the platforms as such will be how do they, kind of hurry up and become part of this crypto boom, right? And as well as that, how do they educate creators to become Web3 native and, crypto native? For the creators as such, some of the challenges will be, unfortunately, I think we're seeing quite a lot of creator burnout at this stage. How will platforms mitigate that, as it's going to be a really important, principle, I think, at least they offer to their creators. And the second is, how do creators build big empires very quickly? Yes, they can have all of the social media companies like TikTok and become famous very quickly. But like, again, we mentioned earlier, creators can't just go out and raise their own pre-seed round or seed round. So thinking about, how do companies support creators from a financial point of view also, I think it's going to be really important. For example, reducing take rates or providing discoverability. Today, very few marketplaces actually provide discoverability to the creators, and they're still charging 20 to 30% take rate and they're getting remarketing out of it. So I think that's going to be a major challenge for both platform creators.
Yeah, and from that, I think it was the last part of the interview, Ollie, where I think because you've been so involved with this whole thing, in your ideal world, what would you think would be the future of creator economy? What would be the perfect, sort of the future that this economy would have?
I think the future for the creator economy will be, and to make it incredibly successful, should be all of the value chain based on the contributions towards community and platforms should be compensated in some capacity. If that happens, I see this creator economy, booming forever, or for at least for the next 5 or 10 years. And if that happens, many of us will become creators, and I think this potentially creates a whole new generation of wealth.
Yeah. With that, Ollie, thank you so much for taking our time for the TheCapitalNet TV. Thank you so much for also doing a very extensive report on the same, and we will make sure that we'll attach it to the video as well, so that people can go back and look at exactly how much potential this particular economy has and the kind of returns that this economy can get. So thank you so much, Ollie. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.